What did you want to be when you grew up?
So I got lucky. I got really, really, really lucky. My parents got a computer for me when I was for the house. When I was 6 years old. It was like a basic computer, like a sort of, if you think C64, then you sort of get the right idea. It's a German product called an Amstrad. I knew that there was nothing else like that would be more interesting than like I learned programming before I knew that was a thing or term, or that it was called some programming, just from following listings on magazines and so on. So I very, very, very early made the decision. I must have been like 12 years old or so, that there's just no chance I'm going to do anything other than program all day. No, I failed. In this particular frame of reference. It was only a period of my life where I did that all day long, but I never stopped programming either. So it's been with me ever since.
Can I ask, what captivated you so much? You mentioned 6 when you got your first computer. What was it about it that made you so interested?
Oh man, I just like, I know this sounds so wrong now, but like, even just, first time sitting in front of it and just typing like any letter and seeing it appear on the screen was just magic. Remember, that was like, I mean, see, before that, this was early 80s, so mid 80s. Typewriters were around. Yeah. I also like in a small town, so like, if you would have been in Silicon Valley, you would have encountered computers more, but I wasn't. And there was this sort of just magic. And then you're like, okay, well, how does a computer actually do that? And then I'm curious about everything. I hate black boxes. I really, really dislike black boxes. It's actually like a parenting principle in our house. Like we talk about this with my kids. It's like, we do not like black boxes in the house. Everything is understandable, and everything is way more interesting than it seems. And so I just wanted to understand these machines. And again, like when you were, like, maybe 6 is a bit early, but like when you're a 10-year-old boy growing up in a somewhat rigid schooling system like Germany's, like we had hours of Latin a day and these kind of things. Like, I mean, you have a lot of things. You might even have some free time, but what you don't have is agency and like leverage. Like, there's nothing in the world that you can absolutely control in a way that like it does this thing and it will do it forever. Like, it just doesn't fit into the rest of life experience for anyone who didn't end up spending time with these fairly primitive computers. And so, making things and then figuring out the utility, and like in many cases, when you did a thing, like you might have actually done something that other people haven't, yet. And I think people need frontiers, or some people need frontiers. I think entrepreneurs need frontiers. Like there's a need for reaching for something that could lead to, value in the world around us. And so I just absolutely loved, especially once I got into programming and tinkering. I call it tinkering, really, with code and machines to build things of my own, share them with others, like some pranks and so on. Like there are so many things I could do because I had a set of skills that was rare during this time. And I just, anyway, it's hard for me to answer your actual primary question other than with like anecdotes, because it was never a question in my mind. As like there's basically like spending time on a computer was 10x to 100x more interesting than literally anything else that could possibly happen in my life. Doing it for the first 10, 15 years of my life.
You mentioned not growing up in the Valley and being, in the German school system and hating black boxes. I always think that we're kind of all functions of our history, so to speak. I'm secretly an armchair psychologist who actually never got a psychology degree, or any degree at all, actually, Toby. But my question is, what do you think you're running from when you reflect on that all being a functions of our history?
What I'm running from? Boredom is something I like to avoid. Ignorance. I actually, it's more magnetic for me, honestly. Like there's more magnetism in the direction of where I'm going when there is a reverse polarity in the place I'm coming from. I just, there's certain schools of philosophy that do a much better job of articulating what I'm about to say, because this is sort of my own and homegrown life philosophy. But I just have a strong sense that the goal in life is really try to become the best version of yourself. I know it sounds like super fortune cookie, but like I describe it like it's as if at the end of life you meet the person you could have become, and the work of life is really try to minimize the diff between that person and the one that actually showed up. And I find not understanding a thing feels I'm almost amoral to me. Like it just feels like we've got these incredible brains, these brains run a model of planet Earth, which we then constantly interrogate, and I want that model to be right. Like and therefore, every single time I get to dig into something, into learning something, I can update this model. And the nice thing is, first of all, that's super fun. Second, that model is the one I walk around with. I go into every one of my meetings with. I encounter every situation. I hold up to every problem that I need to solve. And the quality of all decisions is simply how correct, how close to the truth is that model of a world that I've been developing. I want to be able to reason, like right now, like I need a reason about the newest things that exist in the world. I need to not treat transformer models as a black box. I don't need to treat embeddings as the black box. I need to understand those, because otherwise I cannot show up to a meeting with my teams and say and have a good chance of reasoning with them about not just what is sort of a convenient next task, but what's the very best thing we could be doing. What is the new thing that all of this unlocks? And that's been driving me every step of the way.